It's okay. I'm fine. This was just a little demonstration of what stage combat or fight and stunt performance looks like. Sorry, I need to adjust this. A combination of technique, illusion, and acting. And without the acting, or should I say the reacting of the pain, the audience wouldn't have believed in the action. And by using stage combat into my teaching, I've been able to get teenagers to work with emotions and situations they wouldn't have normally worked with. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Who here thought that this was a bit risky? Perhaps even a bit dangerous? No one? Okay. Okay, then I must have done it really well. Anyway, what would you say if I would tell you that I actually feel more comfortable throwing myself around like this, off a building on a few cardboard boxes, fighting with several people at the same time with sharp swords, or being offered to swim with sharks, rather than standing here in front of you today giving a speech? I'm terrified. And that is why, when I was asked to give this talk, I said yes, of course, because it's what I tell my students each and every day, that without fear there can't be any courage, that no matter how difficult things might seem or look, we can always do a little bit more than we think we can. For example, if we've been walking for a very long time without any food or water, we tell ourselves just a few more steps, just one more hill. And before we realize it, we've reached our destination. We can always do a little bit more than we think we can. And that is true about most things in life. Of course, there are those that will give up. And their reasons are as varied as they are many. And I don't pretend to have all the answers. I simply know that what I teach and the way I teach it has had a positive impact on my students. Now, I'm a survivor. I've been a survivor all my life, starting in 1970 when I was born 2 months prematurely, and when the midwife came to tell my father that I was born, he didn't even consider to ask for me. But not only did I survive, I was healthy and strong and was allowed to go home with my mother the very next day. Since then, I've had quite a few brushes with death, too many to count for here. Mostly because of reckless behavior, like jumping between high buildings, crashing on a motorcycle, or not walking away from fights that I should have. Others, when my appendix burst. Even the doctors were surprised I survived that one. But everything I did and experienced eventually led to me becoming who I am today, an actor, fight director, stunt performer, and teacher. But it didn't quite teach me the difference between quitting something and giving up, or the message of this speech. You can always go a bit further. No. I learned that from someone that was a true survivalist. In 2003, I had the privilege to be a part of a stage combat teachers group or fight directors working on a special project called the Hounslow Project in Hounslow near Heathrow Airport, London. Working with youth aged 12 to 16 that had broken the law and were under special supervision or house arrest. Some because of petty theft and vandalism, others because of drug trafficking or prostitution. But one little Somalian boy, aged 12, was there because he had tried to shoot his teacher with a replica gun. Fortunately, the gun misfired. And instead of being sent to a youth prison, he was sent to this special theater program. And the idea was that we would use the code and conduct of stage combat as an art form to get them to get rid of that anger in a more positive direction. This Somalian boy had lost his entire family in the Somalian civil war between 1991 and 1995. And the journey he went through, from Somalia to South Africa, all the way through Africa to Egypt to Italy, through Europe, and then eventually to England, were, to say the least, horrific. And every day, he came in there not wanting to learn. Every day, actually, he came in there with a baseball bat, trying to hit us over the head with it, to get us to throw himself out of the project. Mostly me, because it was in my care. Now, every day, I just disarmed him as carefully as I possibly could. I gave him his baseball bat back, and I said, if you feel like it tomorrow, you can try again. And he did. And again. And again. But never giving up on him, because even though our experiences were very different, we were much alike. This I don't give a fuck, and I don't want to learn, and fuck you attitude was something that I and many here can relate to from their own troubled youth. So by showing him love and understanding, by never giving up on him as an individual, but just demonstrating and offering my knowledge instead of forcing him to learn or telling that he had to learn, then eventually he warmed up and actually had loads of fun. And when the course ran, when the program ran its course, to put it correctly, then he gave me a tearful hug and simply said thank you. And I like to believe that perhaps for the first time, he started to believe in others. He started to believe in people and started to believe in humanity again. But the lesson that he taught me was the difference between quitting something and giving up. And the message of this speech, you can always go a bit further if you just care enough. And that brings me to the main point of my talk. And that is what we are teaching our kids today and what we should be teaching them instead. Throughout grammar, high school, and college, or university as it's also called, we are constantly teaching our kids to be afraid, that to fail is wrong. And if they, for some reason or another, don't measure up, we give them more and more classes doing the things they are failing at, doing the things they are bad in, reinforcing in their mind the image of being a loser, being a failure. And they become more and more angry, frustrated, full of self-loathing and hate. And this eventually will bring up the next generation of what? Criminals? Drug addicts? Or, what is worst, those that give up on life. Now I want to get you all to think about your own education. Think back to when you were 10. Think about any test you like. Do you remember if you got A or B or a C on that test? Do you remember what the test was about? Do you remember the results? Do you remember what you learned from the test? Perhaps you remember how it made you feel. Now think about a school play, or an art exhibition, or a poem you wrote, or a short story. And I'm willing to bet pretty much anything that you remember those moments a lot clearer and better than any test you've ever taken in your entire life. So, what is more important? To have children interacting freely and happily with one another, or to be able to do 1 million identical math problems correctly? What is more important for society as a whole? To implement interactive social skills within our school curriculum, or to add more and more classes in the art of filling in blanks? Why is it, if you are good at something, or even if you're just interested in something, you're not given the chance to take more classes doing exactly that? Instead, we are constantly giving those kids more and more classes, more and more time, doing the things they are failing at. And why is it gifted, talented, highly educated teachers are just handing out dated worksheets, reciting from textbooks without any deeper understanding, or even academic questioning or debate? And why is it parents themselves keep asking for us to test their children again and again and again? Why is it we are constantly trying to put everything into neat little boxes with neat little labels when life itself is not neat? It's unpredictable, volatile, but also very beautiful. Do you have the answers? So what we need to be teaching them is the difference between quitting something that isn't working and giving up. Is it giving up to quit drinking or smoking or eating sugar if you're diabetic or eating bread if you are gluten intolerant? No, it's sensible to quit things that isn't working. And we should quit the way we are teaching, because it's not good for us, it's not good for our kids, and it's not good for the children of tomorrow. But we should never ever give up on learning. And how am I able to get this message across to my students, this message of not giving up? I do it by implementing stage combat into my drama teaching. And as an icebreaker, let me demonstrate. I'm going to break my finger. Okay? Are we ready for me breaking my finger? Okay. Ah! Jeez! Okay. I didn't break my finger, obviously. You heard it break, didn't you? Yeah? Okay. But I bet that every single one of you suddenly became a little bit more alert. So it worked, I got your attention. And that's the same thing I do with my kids. And that is really the trick or the truth or the secret behind how I get often very angry individuals, mostly boys with some kind of disorder like ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, to work with their emotions, to get out of the shelves, to find a positive way to get rid of their built-up anger. And when they get rid of that anger, they can learn anything and become the next generation of innovative dreamers. And why do I care? Why do I care so much that I'm standing here in front of you, giving this speech, when we all know and have established that I'm terrified of giving speeches? It's because I'm one of them. I'm an ADHD kid from a broken home that, despite the school system, got an excellent education, thanks to a couple of teachers that really cared, and authors like Isaac Asimov, Jules Verne, and Gene Roddenberry, and Edgar Rice Burroughs, personal heroes like Carl Sagan, David Attenborough, and Nelson Mandela, and my granduncles from Holkot Sankere, who taught me the art of storytelling, the value of daydreaming, tenacity, and patience. And my late mother, despite being ill most of her life, with a heart full of broken dreams, and unfortunately never followed her own advice, always said, no matter how difficult your journey is, no matter how hard things might seem, remember, you can always go a bit further.